Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about everything you should have before bringing home your budgie. I'm going to cover each item that should be on your shopping list and then dive into more detail. We've had a parakeet or English budgie for about 2 years now. This is our budgie Sunny. We purchased him at a bird specialist store. He was hand-fed and is extremely sweet as a result. Parakeets are very intelligent and he says more than 60 things. We have a list, but I don't feel like counting all the phrases. All of the clips throughout this video were shot by me, and I will leave a link to any items that I mention in the description down below. With that, let's start talking about everything you need before getting a parakeet. The absolute minimum cage size for a single budgie is 12 inches by 18 inches by 18 inches, and this is only if you play with them or let them out for most of the day. But personally, I will always recommend more than this because of just how active they are, and I pretty much disagree with that number. I think that 24 inches by 18 inches by 24 inches is a good size for a parakeet cage, and anything bigger is better. King's Cages is one of my favorite brands just because most bird specialty stores carry their cages and they look very nice. Well, other brands do make nice cages, but I can't really think of any of those brands off the top of my head. They don't really stick with me. I do think it is important to note that basically all cages sold at big chain pet stores are not acceptable for budgies. Obviously, there is exceptions, but I can't really think of any. Most of the cages are just too small. In addition, you have to make sure that the bar spacing is 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch. If it's any bigger than that, your budgie could get its neck stuck in the cage bars, which is not what you want to have happen to your bird. I think that one of the biggest mistakes first-time bird owners make is with their perches. So I'm just going to spell this out in big bold letters that dowel perches are never enough. Birds are very sensitive creatures and their feet can be irritated by what they sit on. All birds do best with natural wooden perches. I've seen some people have issues with both rope and sand perches, so use those with caution after doing some research. I don't really have any negative experiences with rope perches, but I've never used the sand ones, so I can't say anything. But just be very careful with what you use because it may affect your bird. Seeds versus pellets is a pretty big debate in the bird community, so I'll explain what we do, and you can make your own choice. It can be completely different than mine, it could be the same thing as mine. It's up to you. I'll have several articles and videos in the description down below for you to take a look at as well. We feed Sunny both a combo of seeds, pellets, fruits, and veggies. I find that it's just natural for birds to break open seeds, but keep in mind that seeds are extremely fatty. I find that when given the option between the two, almost all birds will go for seeds, but Sunny is very good and he will go for his pellets. It's funny, in the morning he has his seeds, and then in the evening he's always eating his pellets, which is amazing to see. We usually give him broccoli and carrots and other vegetables, obviously, to give him that natural variation. Usually in the afternoon, like 3 or so in the afternoon, along with fruit occasionally. We'll have a little veggie on a clip for him and then a fruit up top of his cage. It's usually like a bit of a chunk of a fruit or a vegetable, so he has to tear it apart. It's good foraging for him and it's a lot of fun. He always plays with it. But basically, what I'm getting at is there's just a lot of varying ways to feed your parakeet. But I can say that feeding seeds is not enough. No matter what you choose, I really hope you don't just feed seeds. It's a bit of a myth with birds that feeding seeds is okay, but feeding fatty seeds can sadly cut a parakeet's life in half. If they become too obese, they can get fatty liver, or it just leaves them prone to other diseases and illnesses, and their activity level will go down. But for pellets, Rowdy Bush is one of my favorite pellet brands, and I feed it to both Sunny and my green cheek Scuttle. Millet is a great treat for parakeets, but should never be a main diet just because of how fatty it is and it virtually has no nutritional content. My green cheek Scuttle, he is a little bit on the skinnier side. He's not underweight, but he weighs about 55 grams, so he's just a smaller green cheek, but I do occasionally give him millet to try to make sure he doesn't lose too much weight because sometimes he does go to dip a little lower. But I think it's important to understand that millet is used to help birds gain weight. So if you give it to a bird that is already a little bit on the heavier side, it will definitely gain weight and be a little chunky bird. You can use newspaper to line your bird cage. It is completely free and it is nice to reuse instead of just throwing newspapers out. You can use other things, but I have no experience with those. And it's just, for me, it's easier and I won't have to pay in any extra money to purchase, like the bedding and the litter. And honestly, I don't really understand what the benefits would be, but if you want to, you can do your own research. I won't have any articles in the description about this, but I'm sure you could find some. Definitely ask on parrot forums if you have any questions about the litter pan liner. I'm sure someone will be willing to help. Almost all bird cages come with bowls and dishes, but if yours doesn't, I highly recommend stainless steel. Stainless steel is a lifesaver. It is so easy to clean, and the deep dishes allow for your bird to dig around and forage and take baths. I use stainless steel in Sunny's cage, in Scuttle's night cage, in his day cage. We have plastic containers, which I'm hoping to switch over to stainless steel just because of how much nicer they are. They clean so easily and they're usually pretty deep, as I said, and they let the bird take really nice baths. Toys are so important. This is one of the most important parts, I think, of owning a bird. And it's because they're just so enriching. And even if you aren't home to play with it, they won't get bored. And I think it's important to make sure that your bird won't get bored and it's always excited and happy. For that reason, I recommend that you have at least one chewing, one foraging, and one preening toy. But please keep in mind that you should have way more than three toys. I would say that budgies do tend to use most of their toys in general, but that doesn't mean you have to overstuff their enclosure because they still love to fly or flap around and they like to climb and explore their cage. So I would definitely say that you should have more than three, but don't overstuff their cage. Definitely make sure they have toys that they can destroy, ones that they can look through for food that will encourage like natural stimulation. And then definitely some preening toys, especially if you have a single budgie, because it's natural to for them to kind of use their beak in that way to kind of preen through things. I will leave a link down below to one of my favorite sites for bird toys, Planet Pleasures. I highly recommend vinegar for all cleaning purposes. Not only is it relatively cheap, it also does not have any harsh chemicals in it. You can use other cleaners, but I would do so with caution just because birds are so sensitive. In addition, if you are using chemical cleaners, make sure your bird's food and water is always away from wherever you're spraying, and your bird is away from it too. Now, after going through all of the essentials, I have a list of a few optional things that you could purchase. Play stands tend to be for bigger birds, but they do make a few small ones. It's great if you're busy and you still want to spend some time with your bird out of the cage. I have one for Scuttle and I highly recommend it. Scuttle gets a lot of attention, but he's never used our play stand. I think it's just great though because you can set them up on top of their cage. Some play stands are on top of the cage, some are on a table, but you can set them up, you can do your homework, you can do other things, and they're still having fun. They're still being out of their cage, they're having a new experience. And it's so sweet to see them playing around with things and being outside of their cage. Fruits and veggies are extremely healthy and delicious for our birds. I think it is important that people give their parakeets weekly, if not daily, veggies. Sunny loves broccoli and carrots along with some other fruits and vegetables, but we definitely make sure that he's constantly getting new nutrients and trying new things as just mentally stimulating to him and it helps enrich his environment. Now that's my whole list. Now you can always get more stuff than this, and I highly recommend you do, but this is what I would describe as the basics. To anyone who might be watching this because they are interested in bringing a parakeet home, I wish you good luck. Budgies are amazing pets, and they can be your best friend. Thank you so much for watching this video. Budgies are amazing animals, and I was very excited to finally make a video about them. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. I hope you just have an amazing day. I'll see you next week.